Awesome. So here it is. It's late July in Portland, right? So of course I'm wearing like a long sleeve corduroy shirt and jeans because, well, even though it's not raining, it's still not exactly nice weather. I don't know. Got some more people who have joined. So anyway, we did a little bit of a little bit of test-driven development on in class on Wednesday, and that was cool. But I didn't make nearly as much progress as I'd like. And when I'm thinking about this Wednesday's class, I want to finish up the primary stuff for developing the student class, and I also want to cover things like how to test the command line with integration tests. We'll be looking at code coverage and generating a site, and I can't, I don't want to keep everybody there until 10 o'clock at night. Well, I don't want to keep me there until 10 o'clock at night. So I figure I'll take a little bit of time now. We're going to time box this to an hour at 2:30. I'm gonna I'm gonna call it an afternoon for this. But I think that'll be enough time. We'll get through an hour's worth of stuff. And really my goal here is to get some more of the student class written, but it's also I wanted to provide another example of test-driven development, and I decided to do it live here on Zoom so that anyone who's interested can stop by. Please feel free to ask questions while I'm doing it about test-driven development. This isn't office hours. I don't want to, if like you're having some question about like a Java API or how to do something in Maven. I don't think I'm going to have time for that. I want to keep this focused on test-driven development, but please feel free to post things in the class Slack as you have questions. A lot of people are doing that over the last few days, and hopefully they've been able to get their questions answered and through the impediments they're facing. So, although to start out with, before I really dive in, any like fundamental questions people have about test-driven development to maybe help set the stage? No, that's totally cool. Okay, so let's see here. So on class and Wednesday, we saw this, we created this student project. It's got one Java class student. And there was like this project 0 assignment. Let me go find that and sort of review it again. So we've got all of this. And then students have some things like a name, they're taking some classes, they have a GPA and a gender. It's got a main method. And the main method, when you run it with like these arguments, it should print out this string right here. And so then, that's sort of the crux of the assignment. Ultimately, that's like, that's the big test case that we've got to pass. And what we started on Wednesday was what we implemented. I think it was the name and the GPA. So let me find the tests for that. So student test. And actually, I'm going to split screen this so it's a little easier maybe to see it. Oops, come on. And I'll say, move right. There we go. So now I've got it both. I think we can see all of that. I'm going to close the participant list. Hopefully it'll ding when someone joins. So let's see here. We have a couple of unit tests that seem to test what the student's name. Oh, and that it's in toString. And toString also contains GPA. So I think what I want to do next is just to give me an idea of where I'm going eventually is I just want to implement a test for like the ultimate test case. So public void, I don't know, toString for example from in assignment. And this will be that this like, the thing, I want to create the student whose toString method returns all of this stuff. So let's see here. So I'll have a student and I'll call him Dave, and that's a new student. Oops, new student. And let's see here. That's the name is Dave, and they're taking some classes, and the GPA was what, 3.64, 0.64, and then the gender is male. And groups, come on, there we go. create these classes. Let's see here. Classes are going to be an array list. Sure. Equals new array list. And let's see here. I think there was 3 classes. It was algorithms, operating systems, and Java. Algorithms. Okay, so we'll add here class for algorithms. Classes dot add operating systems. Classes. Oops. Classes dot add Java. So now when I create that Dave object, I'm going to assert that Dave.toString is going to be equal to that string there from the assignment, which is going to be selected again and copy it. This big old thing. Let's see here. And you know what? Now I can't see it enough. I'm going to make this wider. So Dave has a GPA of 3.64, is taking classes. Blah, oh, I don't want to have that new line there. Operating, space there, systems, and Java. I think in the assignment, yes, there are 2 spaces after the period. He says this class is too much work. Okay. So ultimately, this is the test case that we want to pass. And actually, it's the penultimate test case, I suppose. The ultimate test case is to do this from the main method. Right now, I'm focusing on unit tests for the student class. This coming Wednesday, we'll see how to add tests for the main class. I'm looking at the picture of myself here from Zoom. I know there's a little bit of a lag. Is the audio and video quality good for everybody on the phone, or on the phone? Gosh, everybody who's on the call. Oh, looks like somebody chatted something. Thanks, Ronnie. Ronnie says yes. Okay, excellent. Okay, so then, okay. Well, so now if I run this test, if I click run here, and by the way, I'm going to be using keyboard shortcuts a lot. So for me, it's Control Shift F10 on a Mac. It's something similar on Windows. So it goes and builds everything, and now it failed, not surprisingly. Let's see here. All it says right now is Dave has a GPA of 3.64. Okay, well, that's where we are right now, and that's where we want to be eventually. Yep, someone else just arrived. So let's see here. Okay, so right now I've got the David's GPA of 3.64. Let's attack this part next, and is taking 3 classes. So let's add support for the number of classes that the student is taking. I wonder if I just use my Dave class as an example. You know what? Yeah, maybe I should do that. I can add. So let's see here. Let's. I guess I've already validated. Oops. Public void. I want to say Dave takes 3 classes. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create my Dave object, and actually I'm going to put this into a method. Get Dave student. I call it create Dave student, actually. Nice. And I'm going to start out with that here. And I want, let's see here, I want to assert that Dave.toString contains string, and is taking 3 classes. Okay. So so what I'm doing is I'm taking baby steps here, right? I know where I want to get eventually. I want to get to all this eventually, but I could take a bunch of time and try to implement everything, but that's not what you do in test-driven development. In test-driven development, you write the next small test first, and so strategically, I know I want to know where I'm going to go next, or rather, I know what I want to go, where I'm going to go eventually. Tactically, I will take on the just the next part of the toString. Okay, so now if I run this, I expect it to fail because it doesn't contain that yet. Okay, it does not. Okay, well, so let's take a look at the toString method, and this is where I'm going to go all split screen. So over here on the left, I actually have the class. Here is the toString. Okay, and now I will say and is taking. Well, let's see here. I need the number of classes. So this dot classes. And this dot classes hasn't been created yet. So create a field in classes called student, and this will be an array list of string. Array list of string. And now, okay, this dot classes dot size. That many classes. Oops, there's a space there. Now I'm gonna make this so it fits a little better on the screen. So I'm gonna put a new line. Actually, I'm gonna put a, oops, what did I just do? I put a new line there, is taking that many classes. Okay. Now I'm going to run my test again. Let's see how we do. I've got it implemented. Oops, still fails with a null pointer exception. Line 48. Well, let's see here. On that line, the only object dereference is this dot classes. This dot classes must be null. All right. I forgot to initialize it here in the constructor. Okay. So I'll say this dot classes equals classes. Okay. So I'll run that. Hey, it passed. Great. So I wrote a failing test. So I went red. Then I got to pass green. And now I'm looking for opportunities to refactor. Well, I'm going to look at my test code. That's pretty simple. I don't think I'm going to have anything to refactor there. There is one refactoring I'd like to do here in my student class, though, and that's the following. These fields of student, they are only assigned to the constructor, and they're never going to change. They're immutable. So I'm going to make them final. All right. Final means a final field is one that's only assigned once, only in the constructor or as part of constructing the object, and then never changes. And this is a common thing to do with fields, right? You have an immutable object, right? This object doesn't change anything about itself, and so then all of its fields are final. Okay. After that, I'm going to run my test again just to see if I've broken anything. And you know what? I'm going to go back and run all of my tests in student while I'm at it. Oh, right. I have one that failed. The toString, for example, in assignment. Yep, this one is failing, which we know about. No surprise there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put an add ignore annotation in front of it, which means, hey, make sure this is a test, but it's not one that you should run right now because we know it's going to fail. I don't want to just comment it out because I want to keep the source code there so that it'll be compiled and everything. This way, if I change something about the code that's used by that test, I want the compiler to be able to catch it. So I want the code to be compiled, but I don't want it to be run. We got a question in chat here from Max. Is final like const? So in a program where GPA changes, you wouldn't add final. That's correct. Boy, it's been so long since I've used const in C++, and I haven't really used it in JavaScript. So but yeah, basically what it means though is you've got a field in this case, an instance field in this case, whose value is only assigned once when the object is constructed and never changes. So yeah, I think it's like const. You're welcome. Okay. So let's see here. Now let's run all these tests again. I want to see things green. Yay. Okay, everything's green. And oh, we have someone else arriving. So, okay, well, so now I've got green tests. And one of the things that I like to do whenever my tests are green is I like to commit. Again, I'm a big fan of working in small chunks. And so you get something working and you declare a little victory by committing the code, right? Committing the code is cheap. And this way, as you start working on your next test case, if things get really messed up or you're like, wow, I'm just totally barking, going on the wrong path, barking up the wrong tree, or whatever metaphor you want to use, you can easily just revert it and not have to worry about trying to figure out, well, what are the things that just changed? That's too much thinking. As I've gotten older, I've gotten way lazier. It's not so much lazy as it is I want to make sure that the things that I'm investing cognitive load in are things that will have good benefit. And so then I like to just sort of get to a point, say, hey, draw a line, say this is where I'm at. And then as I start making changes, if I need to roll them back, it's really easy to do so. So I'm just going to check things in right now. I'm going to say, let's see here, added the number of classes a student takes to the toString. Right, so notice that, I mean, I went in this, really small increment. I didn't try to bite off the entire rest of the string or anything else. I just went for that first little step. Because now it's time to go a little bit further. So ultimately what I want is all three of those. So maybe I'll just write that test and Dave Dave's toString has all class names. Oh, probably another thing that you may have noticed is that the names of my test methods are long and purposefully descriptive. They don't need to begin with tests anymore because they have the word test anymore. It has a test annotation, so we already know that it's a test. And quite frankly, this is I'd rather invest in having a sentence for a method name than try to figure out what the method is testing from the either from the implementation or from. I'd have to then like have a java.com or something to explain it. No, just put it in the method name. So let's see here. Ultimately, what I'm going to want is the following. Let's see here. It's going to be, it's taking 3 classes. What was that? Oops. Algorithms, operating systems in Java. Oops, I don't need that new line anymore. Operating systems and Java. Okay, that's where I want to get eventually. Now, I'm going to step back and think about some other test cases. You know what I realized? I did, Dave is taking 3 classes, but if I've got a student who only takes 1 class, I don't want classes. I want just taking 1 class. And then, oh gosh, what if there's 0 classes? I guess I can just say take 0 classes. So maybe I don't need to write a test for that. But let me, actually first I'm I wrote this, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna run this test and it should, actually it did and it failed. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna ignore it for now because we're gonna use that eventually. And let's see here. I'm gonna say, now I wanna test, let's see, your student with I can use the 1 class, student taking 1 class, has a singular word. I don't know. So student equals new student name, and then we'll have a classes variable, and then we'll have a GPA of 1.23 and a gender of it doesn't matter. Okay, so then we will create the local variable here, and we will say new array list, and then the classes will take 1, which is, I don't know, English. And then we want to assert that student.toString contains string and is taking one class. Okay, let's run this. Now it's a new test. I expect it to fail. Ah, it's green. Why is it green? I'm going to debug this to figure out why it is green. So I set a breakpoint here by clicking in the gutter, and when I ran the test, I ran it in debug mode. Looks like IntelliJ is thinking about something. Ooh, my computer is working hard. Okay. Getting tripped on a little bit. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. Okay, the debugger is nice enough to print out the toString for me, and sure enough, it's taking one class is in the toString. So now the most important thing is to, well, I want to write a failing test first, because otherwise it looks like it's working when it's really not, right? I don't want to say and it's taking one classes. I will say it's taking one class, and I should probably have a colon after that. So okay, I'm going to stop the debugger, and I'm going to say taking one class, like that. Now this one should fail. Yes, okay, now it fails. Expected a string that said, I'm getting dripped on here, sorry. Get under the awning. The light is still okay. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, well, so it expected a string containing and is taking one class. Instead, it got this thing right here. Okay, well, so now let's go back to the toString method. And let's see here, toString. Let's figure that out. Okay, and so then here is taking one class. I guess I just want to break this off here. And let's see here. Oh, let's implement this as, let's just use our old friend, the expression, the if expression. So let's see here. If size equals, actually, if it doesn't equal 1, then you want an ES. Otherwise, we'll just have an empty string. I think that'll work. Yep, still failed. Oh yeah, right, didn't do the colon. Oops. Yeah, the colon. Yep, that's happier. Let's run all the other tests. Everything still passes. I'm going to go back and on this one, I think I'm going to put the colon there. It seems like a better test case right now. Everything passes. Let's see here, red-green refactor. I think the test is pretty straightforward. Looking at this class, I don't know, I've got this dot class size, this dot class dot size is duplicated. Let's pull that out into a variable. So I'm going to refactor. I'm going to use extract variable. And yes, please replace both occurrences. And I'll just call this number num classes. Let's run everything again. No, that's just one. Sorry, let's run everything again. It's more with feeling. Okay, great. Okay. So let's see here. Now, are there any other tests that we should write with regards to like this number of classes? 0 classes? Yeah, actually 0 classes might be interesting. So like in the case of, let's see here. In the case of 0 classes, public void student taking 0 classes. Oh, yeah, someone who raised their hand. And you know what? With only 7 people, just feel free to come off of mute. Oh, sorry. And Dennis, you also asked a question back there. So let's see, Dennis, can you unmute yourself? Dennis, let's start with you. That was a thumbs up before. Sorry.
Oh, no, I didn't have a question.
Okay. Did someone else have a question? Max, maybe?
I had a question, yeah. So I had made a suggestion back there, and I realized that it wasn't a good one because the form of the string that we're actually going to be testing later down the line wouldn't work. But it made me realize, what if we had a test that passes, but it isn't actually valid? And so like if we were, comparing the end of the string, which is what it was originally, but then later on we add more things, would we then, I guess we'd have to go back and change the tests, all of the ones that aren't valid?
Yes, you would. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. As you code more, you learn more about the problem that you're solving and how you want to solve it. And when you're working at the unit level, when you're working at such a fine granularity, sometimes you think a certain test is valid, and you might code it that way, only to realize as you get more into it, as you start looking at edge cases and stuff, it's like, oh, wait a second, I had an assumption back here, and that assumption turned out to be incorrect. Nothing wrong with it. Of course, if it's always better if that you can do things right the first time, but it's a balance between uh, putting so much effort up front into like coming up with every test case and trying to figure it out, versus okay, figuring out where you want to start, do a little bit, learn from what you did, do a little bit more, do a little bit more, and sometimes you need to go back a couple of steps or whatever. But the nicest thing about having a suite of unit tests is that you can get this really rapid feedback in terms of, hey, is everything that I thought was true still true? And for me, I found that benefit outweighs the cost of having to go back and maybe re-implement some stuff or come up with having to like realize, oh look, I learned something, something that was true 15 minutes ago isn't true anymore. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I realized there was something about the zero classes test, the zero classes case that I wanted to explore, because I think it is a little different from the other ones. This thing about the colon made me realize that when you're taking zero classes, there's no colon in the sentence. Has no colon in sentence. So there, let's see here. I'll just do this, and. They're taking zero classes and taking zero classes, period, right? Because there's no, oh, here are the classes they're taking. So I will run this test again. Let's see here. Yep, and it fails as expected. And actually, if you click here to see the difference, it nicely highlights that here at the end, there's a difference. Okay then. So let's see here. Now let's go back and let's implement this test case. Oops. Oh, where's the gutter to drag? Oh, sorry, it's right here. Duh. Okie dokie. Well, let's see here. So now let's say this, and now let's, oops, I didn't split the line correctly. Now we'll say if num classes equals 0, then just put a dot. Otherwise, put colon. I think that's right. So let's try that again. Yep, that worked. Okay, let's go back and run everybody now. Let's just see. Good. Okay, everything's running. So we've handled 0, 1, 2, 3. Do we need to do 2? There's probably nothing different in 2. This is where it's nice to have like a pair or mob around you to have people saying, nope, you don't need to do that, or hey, what about this? So I think I'm okay though. So I think I've reached another one of those points where I want to commit. So let's see here. So handle the pluralization of the word classes. Oops. Classes and the punctuation mark. Punctuation, shall fix it later. Mark afterwards. Punctuation. Punctuation. There you go. Cool. Okay, we'll commit all that. Yep. You know what? It was some of there a couple of warnings here. What are they? Let's see here. It doesn't like this thing. Dangling java.comment. That does not sound like a good thing. And then gender is never used. Well, that is true. Boy, I don't like having that warning there, but I don't want to start implementing. I don't want to start using gender before I have a test case for it. So I guess I'm going to live with that one. Okay, mother. Okay, so let's see here. What is next? Back to our tests. Let's see here. I don't think we're quite ready. I know I'm not ready for this one. We could try running this next big chunk, but we know it doesn't work. So now we got to print all of the classes there. Now, let's see here. I know I'm going to have some different test cases for different numbers of classes. So, well, let's just start writing them. I have 0 already. Let's see here. So I guess public student taking, oh, hey, there's a little bit of background noise, so you wouldn't mind muting yourself. Student taking one class has no comma. And so let's just see here. Student taking one class. And let's see, you're taking one class, English period. And, just so I understand the problem better, I'm going to implement a couple of tests here. Just so that I can get a better handle on everything. Because I'm not going to try to implement them all at the same time, but this will help me understand the various, the various kinds of ways of doing this. So English and history, so I want no comma there. And then, well, I guess then the last one with 3 classes is that one right there. So let's see here. I want, when there's 1, I just want English period. When there's, I want the name of the class period. When there's 2, I want that. And then when there's more than 2, I want each one of them with an Oxford comma and in the last one. Well, let's just go through that and see what we need to happen. So let's see here. Let's take at this one here. Taking one class. This failed because it has anything. So let's go over here to toString. And now we need to, I'm gonna put this all in the method. I'm going to say class list. I don't know, what do I want to call that? It's called, list of classes. I'm going to create a method here. I'm going to create that method. It returns a string. Very nice. Let's start with which is probably an even wrong implementation. But let's just append all of them, all the classes for string class name in the stock classes. Oops. Stock classes. By the way, I can't have a variable named class because it's a keyword in the Java programming language. Things don't compile. So I have to call it class name. And then I'm just going to append that to a string builder. Equals new string builder. And then I'm just going to say sb dot append class name. I'm going to return sb oops dot toString. So I'm going to run that. Oops. Oh, and it doesn't have the period at the end. So then I'm going to append the period right there. Well, that passed. Okay, well that was like this naive implementation because now I know if I run this one, it's going to fail. So, yeah, look at that. English history. It makes it sound like it's a trendy bar or something like that. This is going to involve a lot of thinking and probably some logic, and the code might get really ugly real quick. So I don't know. Should I commit now? Nah, I might wait. Let's see if we can figure this out a little better. So let's see here. We've got 1, 2, 3. Actually, no, wait a second. Let me run all of them. Okay, so that one's failing and 3 is failing. But you know what? I realized something up here. I have a bug because if in the case of 0 classes, I don't want the list of classes to be appended. Although maybe if I put the period there. Oh, what if I did this instead? There we go. List of classes, period. Yeah, that works. By the way, are you getting any background noise? I think one of my neighbors is using a leaf blower or lawnmower or something. Nope. Okay. Well, let me know if you can't hear. I'm sorry. Yeah, people are chatting, and I don't have the chat open. Let's see here. Ronnie asks, "Can we use string classes equals join?" Yes, we can. Actually, we should try that out next. No. Okay. So actually, yeah. Let's try that for our next implementation after I get this one correct. Actually, I want to write a. You know what? Okay. So I fixed a bug without writing a test. That's not good because I have no idea if it really worked or not. I can probably assume so, but I think I introduced a bug here. But now I need to write a test for that bug. And so basically, when I say when I'm taking 0 classes, I don't want the list of classes to be. Actually, I don't even know what that's going to be. So, how do I want to test that? So ultimately, what I want to do is I want to go back to my assignment here. So if I don't have any classes, then I guess I want to say, 0 classes, period, he says. Now, I really haven't started implementing the he says part of it yet. I wonder what I can do there. Maybe there's nothing I can do. Actually, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I can necessarily implement that test right now, so I'm going to leave the bug in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a test that will fail eventually. So let's see here. I am going to write a test that I know will fail right now, but let's see here. Student with taking 0 classes, 0 classes, lists, no classes. And so I'm going to say student equals new student, and this is going to be, well, let's see here. This will be the name. 0 classes, we'll just say new array list. We'll have the GPA. Actually, I think I need the name. I'll say the gender, I will name it after my daughter Serena, and then a 3.78 and female. And in this case, we want this one to be assert that student dot toString equals 2. I'm just going to paste all this in. This is, let's see here. Serena has a GPA of 3.78. 3.78 is taking 0 classes. 0 classes. Get rid of all of that. And there'll be 2 spaces after that. Oops. This is, she says this class is too much work. Period. So now if I run this now, I think it'll fail. I don't think it'll blow up though. Aha, okay, so that isn't what I want. That's the 2 periods like I thought. I don't know of a way to test that right now, but once I get more stuff working, we'll be able to test that. So I'm going to leave this test case in, but I'm going to ignore it for the time being. Do any of you see a way to test that? Are you following along to see how I've, like right now when they're taking 0 classes, you end up with 2 dots because I put this down here. And eventually, once I implement this part of it, it'll fail because it'll have 2 dots, and then she says, but I don't know if I can validate that right now. Oh, but what if I put the 2 spaces after the dots?
Will there always be a space after that dot?
After this one, there should always be 2 spaces. Yeah, somebody should just implement that now. So it's taking 0 classes, has no colon in sentence, and yeah, so I put 2 spaces there. And then I think there should be 2 spaces here. Yeah, so maybe this is okay. Taking 1 class, that's not the end of the sentence there. Taking 3 classes, not the end of the sentence there. But let's try these ones. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this test then, because I don't need that extra test, and I just augmented that other one, which I think is it's okay, right? I mean, okay, so now if I do this, it should fail. Affected 2 spaces, I got a dot. So now I'm gonna go back and fix this by saying I want to have 2 spaces after that. And then I'm also going to do this over here, plus list of classes, plus period. Get rid of this guy. I think now if I rerun that, that should be okay. Okay, good. So, I found a bug, and like my natural instinct was like, I'm just going to fix the bug, which is okay, but I didn't have a test for the bug. And you really, the whole idea of writing tests is to catch bugs. So if you know there's a bug in there, you should write a test for it so that you understand that, the nature of the bug. I found the bug by sort of looking at the code and inspecting it in my head, but then like once I have that, I should also write that, I should write it down. I should encode it in a test so that if I inadvertently introduce the bug, or maybe it really wasn't a bug after all, I'll know. And I'll be able to have that test there. Okay, Cool. Okay, now I'm going to run all my tests again. I don't know. That could have broken all sorts of things. So let's see here. 2 failed. That's the 2 one, and oh, actually, wait, it's the 2 classes, and Dave. Oh yeah, this is the 3rd one. Okay, I mean the 3 one. Okay, so yeah, someone had a great idea to use string.join with this classes. Okay, let's give that a try then. So instead of all of this, oh, you know, I'm going to check this in because I'm going to start doing some stuff that way. I sort of know the state of things here. I should probably put, actually, I'm going to put some add ignores there. You always want to check in with green, right? So let's see here. This one is add ignore, and then this one is add ignore. Now let's go through and run everything again. Oops. Okay, everything's green. That's good. I will start, I'll commit everything. Let's see here. Display the 1 class a student takes. That's interesting. I didn't complain about the 1 warning in the file. Maybe that's not a thing that stops commit. Okay, so now, yes, someone said, hey, why don't you just do, actually, I don't need string builder or anything like that. I can just say return string dot join. Oh, sorry. You know what? Sorry. I broke the rule. I'm not red. I need to get red first. I'll get red by unignoring this one. I'm going to do 2 classes next. I'm red. Okay. I am going to try string.join now. Return string.join of yes, comma, and I guess comma space, yeah, and then this dot classes. Okay, let's give that a run. See how it does. Oh, actually, that's not gonna. Let's see here. Expected containing English and history. Got English comma history. That's not exactly what I want to do, is it? I mean, that would work for 3, but you still have the and that's hanging off there. Well,
Does Java have a way to access the length of this dot classes?
it does. Yeah, yeah.
You
What are you
do
thinking?
length -1.
Oh, right. You basically have like the sublist from 0 to this dot classes dot size -1, maybe like
And
that.
then an and for the last one.
Okay. Yeah, let's give that a try. Okay. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. This is getting kind of messy. So I'm gonna go back to using that string builder.
It's a bit more Pythonic, but it might work.
Hey, nothing wrong with oops. Nothing wrong with using some Python if Python is what gets the job done. Okay, so then we're going to say sb.append that. Another one of these, yep. And then sb.append, we need like an and then the last one. This dot classes dot get this dot classes dot size. That will, for a 0-based one, that will be the last one. I can't remember if this is inclusive or exclusive, so we'll find out. Oops, and then we need to say sb.append that guy, No, it doesn't like call it get. Why doesn't it like that? As index is out of bounds. Oh, so oops, maybe that's. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so you see what IntelliJ just did? So I had made a mistake. I had said, okay, this dot get me the last one. That's the size of it, right? And then IntelliJ is like, oh, wait a second. This is always going to give you an index out of bounds because you're asking for to get the size. So yeah, that was nice of it. Saved me a bug. What's complaining about here? Can be replaced with a string? Well, we'll see. Probably can. I wonder how ugly it is. Okay, so let's try that code. See how it works. Oh, it passed. I like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so that test passed. Let's go run all of our other tests. Oh, something failed. Oh, look at that. Okay, which one was this? This was, hide all the passing ones. Student taking one class has no comma, and that's true. It was expecting to say one class English, and it got one class space, and English.
I think we need a conditional to test whether the size is greater than 1 before doing the and.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Well, okay. Let's make a variable here, which is let's replace all those. Let's say num classes. Okay. Cool. So we're gonna put it here. You said if num class is greater than 1, do the and. Okay.
Yeah, that should work, I think.
Let's give it a try. Oh, nope. Still doesn't like it. What is it like? Oh,
Oh,
actually,
the second,
it's this.
the sp.append this.classes, the last one should be outside of the conditional, I think.
Ah, okay. I like that. Let's give that a try. Hey, that passed. Now let's try all of them. Hey, everything passed. Okay, then. Pretty nice. Cool. Okay. Let's check it in because we got some passing, and let's see here. Got let's see here. 2 classes are displayed as expected. Well, actually, 1 and 2. Okay, let's put that up there. Okay, now let's see our third class. So let's see here. Now let's see this one right here. Ah, this one fails. Okay. Why does that fail? Let's click to see the difference. Does Unified Viewer help any? Not so much. Let's see your expected algorithms, comma, operating systems, comma, and Java. Oh, there's no Oxford comma. Okay. So,
If greater than 2, add a comma.
Okay.
Another nested conditional, maybe.
Oh yeah. So if num class is greater than 2, oops. Speed.append, comma. Oh yeah. Going on Kool-Aid man here. All the test pass. Okay. Wow, let's take stock of where we are then. So let's see here. We've got someone else just arrived. So let's see here. We have all of our tests passing. we have tests for 0, 1, 2, 3 classes. Everything seems to be okay. Well, let's see. Actually, let me just check that in, and then I think that might be it for today. Got 3 classes. Okay. Push that up. Well, let's see here. So let me just go back to like the oops. I'm about running out of battery, and we're running out of time, so I think it's well timed. So let's see here. Let's run the sort of like the final one and figure out what's left to do for next time. So here we've got that. Look at that. Now we have the entire first half, that first sentence all working for the Dave test case. And so then this means we just need to work out this part in class on Wednesday. Huh. Gee, are there any other test cases for that first part, for the part about the classes and everything that that people can think about, can identify? I can't. Let's revert that. Well, sweet. So I think we're done for today, and right on time. So this is what I was hoping to get through. I wanted to implement this part of the sorry, I'm doing 2 things at once here. This part of the code, just walking things through with test-driven development. We're developing a nice suite of test cases that sort of that poke at the what the hell is it? Event log. Let's see here, all 9 have passed. Exercise various configurations, various numbers of classes. I think good. A couple chat things here. There's a way real failed test. Add ignore. Yes, exactly. Yeah, sorry about we're kind of it's over, but you can spend the next. Well, actually, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get everything posted. The Zoom videos, YouTube, at least the one, of course, the one from Wednesday was like 3 hours long, but I'll try to get things up as soon as possible. Excellent. Well, any concluding thoughts, any observations from our test-driven development today?
I did have a question. I was wondering when we were starting to add additional tests there before resolving the previous ones, it made me think about like if I were starting a new project, I think my instinct might be to write a bunch of tests all at once. And I'm wondering how legit is that? Should I stick strictly to the test, what is it, test, pass, refactor, or is it okay to write a bunch of tests all at once when you think of them?
Well, it's definitely okay to sort of sketch them out, and actually, what when I've done this in class, and maybe what I'll do on Wednesday is I have everybody brainstorm like, hey, what are all the scenarios? Coming up with a bunch of scenarios, that's probably good. Whether or not you take the time to actually write them into code, that can be helpful actually, especially if you're designing an API. They'll help you flesh out an API. For these, it's pretty straightforward and probably isn't necessary. So it isn't wrong, but I think what I would still recommend that you do is go through and sort of get one test passing at a time instead of like, I'll try to make them all pass and write all of the code. It's not really test-driven development. It's good to have tests that way, but you're not going to develop things as incrementally, and you might over-invest in developing up front.
So how about writing a bunch of tests that fail and then going through and getting them to pass one at a
Yep,
time?
one at a time. That would be what I'd recommend.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else? Is there a way to test the main with arguments? Yes, Ronnie, we'll learn about it on Wednesday. One of the reasons I wanted to do this stuff, testing the just the plain old Java code, is that I want to be able to focus on a bunch of other things on Wednesday. Sweet. Okay, great. I am running out of battery. I will see you all on Wednesday then. Have a great rest of your weekend, what's left of it. Bye now.
Thanks. See you Wednesday.